Gentlemen, so you've been watching my videos. You saw my 5 quad well-dressed man kit. You saw my one on accessories, and maybe you just watched my one on video on ties, different types of ties to get, different types of materials. But now you have to admit, hey, Big Pretty, I don't know how to tie a tie. How do you tie a tie, Big Pretty? Well, Big Pretty's going to show you. I'm going to show you 2 tie knots here today on Big Pretty Man. Hi, and welcome back to Big Pretty Man, a channel for the extra large man who wants to live his life large and in charge. I'm your host, Timothy Big Pretty Crowe. I'm a wardrobe and lifestyle consultant for the extra large man. Okay, guys, I said in my last video on ties that it was one of my biggest requests was what about ties. Actually, that's only partially true. I did get a big request for ties, but the biggest part of that request is everyone telling me, Tim, Big Pretty, you need to do one on how to tie a tie. A lot of big guys don't know how to tie a tie. And they're telling me nothing that I don't already know. I worked in Big&Tall retail for a while, and I was always shocked how many men today do not know how to tie a tie. This is a big part of our culture that's just slipping away, along with the rest of classic dress and even business dress, is that men today just aren't being taught how to tie a tie. What happened to the father and son moment, or grandpa and grandson moment, where they show you that arms around your neck showing you how to tie a tie in the mirror? It's just such a rite of passage. It's gone. So today I'm going to talk about, tying a tie. Every man should know at least one tie knot for a tie. And I'm going to show you that one of the most common, and I'm going to also show you another one that I think is one of the most versatile, and actually is my favorite tie knot. Now, before I get into that, I would say to please, unless you are a police officer or in security, to avoid the clip-on ties. Clip-on ties, they're just like those fake pocket squares I was talking about. They just, or even the fake bow ties, with a little elastic band. They just look too uniform. They just look, they just look fake. They look like they look tacky and cheap. They look like you have no sophistication about you whatsoever. Have a little sophistication about yourself. So, so learn how to tie a tie, So we're going to fix that today. Now, the reason I say with security and police officers is because, when you're in those professions, you need a clip-on tie. Why? Because, if you get in an altercation, suddenly that's become a ready-made garret around your neck. You don't really want that, So that's the only time I understand. So let's get down to it. Now, the 2 ties I'm going to show you is the classic 4-in-hand tie. It's a very simple tie. And the second one will be what's known as the Pratt or the Shelby tie knot. I think that they are the 2 easiest to learn. There are other tie knots out there, of course, such as the famous full Windsor or the half Windsor, the Oriental, which is another simple one. But I think that these 2 will actually serve your purposes most of the time. Because one thing that dictates what kind of tie knot you're going to use is the thickness of the tie is one thing, as well as the type of collar. Now, this tie collar is a little more traditional. It does have a little bit of a spread, so I could use a bigger knot. The one rule you want is that the knot needs to fill in this entire area here, but it doesn't need to go too far under here. Maybe just a little peek underneath, but you don't want to be showing any strap to the tie. That's kind of tacky. And both of these, so if you have like a really tight collar, you want maybe a 4-in-the-hand. If you have like a thick tie, you probably want a 4-in-the-hand, because if you try to make a bigger tie knot, it's just going to be huge. It's going to, it's just going to look like this massive knot on your neck. So first I'm going to show you the, we'll go with 4 in the hand. Now, the 4 in the hand, we don't know where we get the name. Some people say it's because of the way coachmen used to hold the reins to the horses. They hold all 4 reins in the hand. Other people say it comes from a club. Doesn't really matter, but it's become a very classic way to do it. Now, the first thing you need to do is put your tie on, and you have the big end on your left and the small end on your right. Now, one thing that you need to figure out is if this is a very long or it's a short tie, because that's going to dictate how much length you have, because the big end should be longer than the small end. So a lot of people say it's like about a hand's width from your navel or from your waist. Big guys, you're probably going to have to go a little further up. You got to play with this and figure out where it is, and sometimes it takes some practice. So once you figure that out, which for me, I know it's going to, because I got a big neck, it's going to be about there. I don't need a lot of space here. Now, what you want to do is you cross, you take the big end and you cross it over the small end like this. Then once you get it crossed, come back over again like that. So you're going to go over and through, see, like that. Now, once you do that, bring it all the way around. So you're doing a 360. Bring it around like that. Now, you're already starting to see, kind of pitch it and hold it there. Now, take the big end of the tie and go up through the neck hole like that. Pull it all the way through. Now, that little notch right here that you made from that, that's going to be your notch. You want to take the end of the tie and go down through that fold like that. Okay? Pull it all the way through. Okay? Now, as you see, it's starting to form that knot. Now, there's your knot. Now, what you want to do, put your hand here at the bottom, squeeze it at the bottom, and pulling on the small part, pull it up all the time, give it little tugs and twists. And you see it's a little uneven, it's a little, and that's the way you want it. And pull it all the way to the top. Then fold it down, like that. Make sure you fold it in the back. And that's it, as you can see. Now, it gives you a nice little tight knot that works, especially if you have like a more narrow collar, like that. Like I said, you can always do a little adjustments. Of course, if you have it, you can tuck this down in the back. And there you go. That is your the 4 in the hand. This is a good one, like I said, for small collars. It's a very conservative, probably the most popular knot out there today. It has been for a while. It looks very businesslike, but it's got a lot of versatility. It's a good small knot, and I think it'll probably serve most of the time and most occasions when you have a narrow collar. So 4 in the hand. Okay, now this next knot is one of my personal favorites. It's actually kind of my go-to, especially if I want a wider tie knot. It's because it's so easy, and that is the Shelby or the Pratt knot. And it is a wider knot, similar to a full Windsor, but it's much simpler to tie. Also, it's usually made for a wider spread collar, wider than this one. But the thing is, you can actually adjust the size a little bit, especially if you're wearing a vest. Because, if you're using a regular size tie, one that's not extra long, it's probably going to come up a little short anyway. It's going to become above the navel. So, if you're wearing the vest, you can get away with this because you can move the strap up a little higher and tie the knot in the more smaller part of the tie, and it'll give you a smaller knot. And it actually works fairly well. But it's going to take up, and it's going to make the tie a little longer. But it's all going to be, if it's all down inside the vest, it isn't going to matter. But even if it's not, it's going to give you a little more length, that way. So let's go with the Pratt. I'll see if I can get this one. Normally this is supposed to be a fairly large knot, but I'm going to show you how to make it a little smaller. Okay, first thing, unlike the four in hand, you need to turn the tie hem side up. So basically upside down. You know, put it around your neck the same as the four in hand. You need the small side, the small end. It should be on your right. The big end on your left. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm gonna first show you how to do it kind of the regular way. So I'm gonna have it I'm gonna, you know, get this a little long. So I've got it down, as you can see, to about here, because I know with my neck that's gonna be fairly good size. Okay, so what you gotta do, first thing is you cross the short end on your right over the big end, like that. Okay, now pinch it there. Now what you're going to do, you're going to take the big end now, and you're going to go through this hole that you've made. Go up and through, like this. Grab it, pull it through, like that, okay? Now as you see, that's created a cross knot right there. So now what you want to do, next step, you're going to do the step that you do with, you know, you pinch the cross knot. What you're going to do with the large end now is you're going to do what you usually do with most tie knots. This is the basic key to most tie knots, is you're going to cover up this cross. So you cover up the knot part. So what you're going to do is take this and just throw it over like that. So as you can see, that's going to go over the covering over the knot, and this is going to become part of the top part of your knot of your tie. Now you throw it over like this. Kind of hold on to it here. Now, as you notice, I got the tie right side up. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the tie like this, and you're going to go under, back under through here, up through the neck. Bring it up like that, okay? Now, you're going to take this and you're going to go down through this fold that you've created, okay? So go down and through it like that, and pull it all the way through like that. Pull it on down. Now you see it's giving me a pretty good size. You see your knot now, it's a pretty good size knot. So, because I've went big on the tie. So now what you do here is, you know, once you kind of give it a little tug, a little pull, what you want to do is you take and you hold here, pinch here, grab the small end of the back, and work it up to your neck, like that. Now as you see, that is a big tie knot. Now it's actually, see, like I said, it's more for a wider collar. And you can see that this is just too much tie going underneath this collar like this. But that is your knot. There, you of course tuck it in. That's the knot. But as you can see, it's taken up a lot of the material. Now, because you're a bigger guy, now I'm going to show you really quick, you know, how to make it a little smaller. So, like I was demonstrating, pull all this out. And by the way, always try to do your tie out. Untie your tie in the reverse of the way you tied it. That keeps your tie a little straighter. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take up this length. So I'm going to go here about to my breast. Now you see that's much smaller, and I'm betting that that's going to fit in there. So once again, so let's just get my collar first. So let's just try it again, okay? So we're going to go here, up and through, throw it over, come up, and we're going to go down and through like this. Okay, now I'm willing to bet that once I give this a pull, that look, it's a lot smaller. Now I'm going to work it up, give it a pull, work it up. Much better. And that about fits. Little bit of overlap and still kind of a big for this collar. But you see how that worked? And guess what? Look, it gives me more length on the tie. It's actually down where it's supposed to be. and that made the knot fit. Still a good size knot, but it fits. See? So, you know, that adjusted length did that. So I showed you. So, and of course, you took this in the back, if you have room. So, and that is your tie. In fact, I can now wear this tie regular, because it is running right down to my, putting right at my navel. So, it's a perfect size tie. So, that is your Pratt. And like I said, the reason I showed you, did it twice, is to show you you can adjust the size by moving where the short end, moving the short end on your right. You know, how much distance you have to play with it. Now, sometimes you're going to get it, it's going to be all off. Just undo it and try it again. So, yeah, that's the Pratt. It is one of my favorites. Like I said, I think it looks just as good as a full Windsor or a half Windsor. It's a nice big knot. I like its shape. You know, I like the way it's, I like its dimensions here. So, yeah, that's the Pratt. So that's the two simple knots. Kind of, you know, get in front of the mirror, rewind the video, and work at them. There's some also, I'm not the only person that shows how to do ties. They do some great instruction over at Gentleman's Gazette. They'll show you a lot more of the different types of tie knots. You know, and I'd love to hear what kind of tie knots that you use and the success that you're having with them. So, you know what? Shoot me a line down below. Also, if you haven't already, hit this King Henry head down here with my pretty face and subscribe. I'd love to have you. And until next time, get your tie nice and straight and stay pretty.